Games Workshop has created one of the most successful sci-fi universes to date. Warhammer 40k is a tabletop game where you are charged far too much money for little miniatures that you can just 3D print. Warhammer 40k is also the darkest version of humanity's future that I have ever seen, and it's great. A quick detour. I got into Warhammer 40k after watching a YouTube video that described all the factions. I was immediately sold on the story and wanted to dive deeper. Then the pandemic hit. So while stuck at home, I started downloading the audiobooks and listened to them while playing MMOs. The storytelling from authors like Dan Abnett, Graham McNeil, and James Swallow were some of the best writing I've ever read, or heard in this case. Coming out of the pandemic, I listened to more than 10 of the books. I fell in love with the story. Although dark and grim, there were a lot of interesting ideas thrown around about how things would look in 30,000 or 40,000 years in the future. After listening to my final book, Mechanicum, I wanted more of the universe. I didn't want to just passively sit by and learn about it. I wanted to get immersed in the world. That's when I decided to check out some of the games on Steam and potentially fulfill that wish. What I was in for was a roller coaster of reviews ranging from a genre-defining masterpiece to a cash-grabbing, money-hungry blight on gaming. Curious, I wanted to get to the bottom of why the reviews were so turbulent. What I learned was shocking, from terribly made janky games to monetization practices that compete with EA sports games. The most common threads that I noticed while researching was this: a general lack of polish/jank, Games Workshop revoking their rights, therefore causing the games to become no longer purchasable, and predatory microtransactions, or pay-to-win tactics even. Coming up, I'll highlight a few examples to provide a clearer picture for you. Necromunda Hired Gun, a game developed by Stream On Studio, the same developers that made I Divine Cybermancy. The game is set in the Warhammer 40k universe, specifically in the Underhive of the Hive City of Necromunda. The Underhive is a sprawling, lawless region full of gangs, danger, and opportunity. Players take on the role of a bounty hunter navigating the treacherous Underhive. The story revolves around various missions to hunt down targets for rewards, uncovering deeper conspiracies and rivalries among the gangs. Necromunda Hired Gun failed to live up to its potential, having finicky controls, poor AI, a less than ideal story, and many game-breaking bugs. The game received mixed reviews, with praise for its setting and combat mechanics, but criticism for technical issues and a lack of polish in some areas, which is a common theme for the majority of the games you'll see, by the way. Another common problem that you find with Warhammer 40k games is their tendency to abandon them altogether. The Horus Heresy Betrayal at Calth, a turn-based strategy game set in the Warhammer 40k universe, has had a complex journey. Initially launched in early access on Steam in 2018, it has been gradually developed by Steelwool Studios, incorporating both traditional play and VR modes. The game places players in the midst of the epic conflict between the Ultramarines and the traitorous Wordbearers, offering a unique perspective that combines first-person and VR experiences with traditional turn-based mechanics. Sounds like a cool idea at first, but the Steam reviews tell a different story. Many players caution buyers, do not buy. It has been abandoned by the POS devs who took people's cash and bailed on an unfinished product, or abandoned by the devs, never left early access. A real shame, because there are many players that have had a good time with the game and just wish that the developers would finish what they started and also get what they paid for. Warhammer 40,000 Space Wolf is a turn-based strategy game developed and published by HeroCraft. The game is set in the Warhammer 40k universe and focuses on the Space Wolves, a fierce chapter of Space Marines known for their wolf-themed iconography and savage combat style. But this game has a pay-to-win scheme that has turned many players off to it. The game includes in-app purchases that allow players to buy card packs, resources, and other items that can enhance their gameplay experience. Players can spend real money to acquire powerful cards and upgrades, which can give them a significant advantage in both single-player and multiplayer modes. So it's like not even pay to win, like against other people. You can just pay to win against AI. I don't know. You might have noticed that if you search for this game on Steam, it doesn't pop up. That's because it's no longer available on Steam. Warhammer 40k Space Wolf is no longer available on Steam due to its expiration of its licensing agreement. The game and all its DLCs were delisted from digital stores on October 11, 2023. This means new purchases are no longer possible, but existing owners can continue to access and play the game. That is one thing that I found strange about Games Workshop. What's the point of licensing your IP IP to a developer and only letting them sell the game if the agreement is renewed. This brought me down another rabbit hole about Games Workshop and how they treat the Warhammer 40k IP in general. Games Workshop frequently licenses IP to various developers to create video games. These licensing agreements are often for a fixed term, and when they expire, the games can no longer be sold unless their agreement is renewed. This situation has led to several Warhammer games being delisted from digital stores after their licenses expired. Games Workshop's approach to licensing has been both prolific and somewhat transient, as they sign numerous short-term deals to produce a wide array of games. This strategy has increased the number of Warhammer games available, but also means that many of these games have a limited availability period. Casting a wide net with licensing deals has led to a mixed bag in terms of quality of Warhammer games. Games Workshop's approach to licensing its IP to numerous developers has resulted in both high-quality and subpar games. The high-quality games being ones you have no doubt heard of. The Total Wars, the Vermintides, the Dawn of Wars. But most of the Warhammer 40k games made are just trash. They're utter trash. The sheer volume of licensed games has led to a saturation of the market, with many titles being of mediocre quality or not living up to the expectations set by the Warhammer brand. This broad approach has sometimes led to inconsistencies in quality, as Games Workshop does not always have strict oversight on how their IP is used, leading to a disparity in game quality across different developers. Now, I think I'm honestly just scratching the surface, and I don't think I fully understand all of this. This has just been, maybe like a couple of days of research and just a very, very surface level understanding of this. But from what I understand, the reason why Warhammer 40k Steam reviews are such a mixed bag and they're so turbulent is because of a lack of oversight and maybe just a lack of care. After all, if you cast a wide net and just hand out your IP like candy to anyone that wants a piece, then eventually someone will make something good, right? I think it really comes down to this. The reality is the games just don't line up to the quality of storytelling that you get from the books. I mean, the first time I listened to, Horus Heresy, and I was so immersed in the world, I couldn't get enough of it. I was dreaming about it. I was just so in it because the writing was so good. And I think that everyone wants that to just be translated into game form, and you want to just actively live in that, and not just have it in your imagination. You want to be there. I mean, people read the books and get these fantastical ideas of how the Warhammer 40k world should be. When video game developers don't deliver on these ideas, it can cause many to feel just betrayed. In conclusion, the Warhammer 40k universe, while rich in storytelling and beloved by its fan base, has seen a tumultuous journey in the realm of video games. Games Workshop's approach to licensing its IP to a wide array of developers has resulted in a market flooded with Warhammer games, many of which fail to meet the high expectations set by the franchise's literary works. This lack of consistent oversight and the transient nature of licensing agreements have led to numerous games being abandoned or delisted, leaving players frustrated and disillusioned. Despite these setbacks, the Warhammer 40k universe continues to captivate its audience, highlighting the disparity between the high-quality storytelling found in its books and the often lackluster execution in its video games. The challenge moving forward would be for Games Workshop to find a balance between quantity and quality, ensuring that future games live up to the legacy of the Warhammer 40k universe and satisfy the loyal fan base that has come to expect nothing less than excellence. I mean, in my eyes, if you can convince some fucking 35-year-old guy to spend $110 on a starter set for the miniatures, you got a good thing going. You got a dedicated fan base that wants good things from you. So you kind of did the hard part. That's the hard part, is to get people interested and get people engaged. The next step in the process is to create things that are good, right? And I'm not saying that they don't have good games. There are some good ones, but the fact that it's so varied makes prospective new people coming in wary of it, wary of getting into it, because they don't know if the game's going to be good or not, and they have to be more on their toes about seeing if a game's good or not, instead of just knowing that the polish will be there. Maybe I'm spoiled because I'm someone that comes from playing Blizzard games and most of them are very polished. That's a very important thing to them. Anyway, I hope you learned something new. Thank you for watching. I'll put all my research sources and everything below the like button. I make videos every Tuesday, so feel free to subscribe if you like. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye.